And here he says about the red lines which Ukraine continued to cross, and nothing really happens until our allies and partners allowing it. For example, United States now stays on a red line not to provide the ATACMS permission for Ukraine. However, at the same time, we already know that Ukraine has obtained the permission to use Storm Shadow or Scalp missiles, but again, it is not announced openly. Maybe the same case goes with ATACMS, we'll see in a nearby future, but our allies should understand that in this case they're protecting the Russian regime. Yeah, Frionis really masters and hits the most vulnerable spots in all of this politics and the situation around Ukraine. Alright guys, here we have the big article, the investigation which uncovers the connection between the Thales, the French electronic company, and the Russian producer of the military airplanes Sukhoi. They basically installed the Thales avionics for their airplane Sukhoi Su-30SM, the exact airplane which by the way was shut down a couple of days ago over the Black Sea. It's a big article showing lots of the schemes, so I want to tell you here, this is the French equipment inside the cockpit. The head-up display is the Russian-made, but here's the French Thales. Thales is installed also on Airbus. I was flying ATR, and we have the screens from Thales. The company also produces the aiming equipment that sometimes also was used on the Russian tanks. So how Russians are getting this equipment? Basically via the third countries, like for example in this case Kazakhstan. There is the contract published between the Russian companies and Kazakhstan to supply that particular equipment of Thales and Safran to the Russian side. Kazakhs are buying the equipment from French because they're not under the sanctions, but later on they're selling this equipment, not hiding the details, directly to the Russian army. The contracts exist since 2021 and continue to work. This mediator company name is ARC Group. They not only supply the parts, but they also send those for the repairs to France directly. So this scheme works absolutely fine for every of the side, and they earn millions and millions of euros. Millions and millions of euros are in this scheme. Really, it's uncovered. Hopefully, something will be done to stop it. So this scheme was busted. The article is very big with all of the proofs now shared on my Telegram channel. The original language of the article I think is the Ukrainian one, oh sorry, it's the Russian one, but you may translate it into English right in the browser and you'll understand everything. Alright, now a couple of words about the United States politics. I forgot to comment it the last time, but JD Vance, DJ Vance I call him, actually told of how Trump wants to finish the war in Ukraine. Let's listen to it and comment.
Ukraine wants this war to end. Europe, which by the way has underfunded this war while American taxpayers have been very generous to the Ukrainians.
Europe actually sends the similar amount of funds as the United States, at some spheres even more. Plus, Europe accommodates lots of the Ukrainian refugees. Millions and millions of refugees compared to the United States of America, which by the way also has the U4U program, but it doesn't work that good as in Europe. And America doesn't give the funds for the Ukrainian refugees, unlike, for example, in Germany. So Europe actually spends a lot, and more Ukrainian refugees trying to find jobs. In that way, they also support the economies of the countries of the European Union in many ways.
The Europeans want this war to end because it's jacking up their energy prices. So I think what this looks like is Trump sits down, he says to the Russians, the Ukrainians, the Europeans, you guys need to figure out what does a peaceful settlement look like?
Well, the only problem here DJ Vance didn't want to mention is that Russia doesn't want this war to be over.